Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. This time I'm going to take a look at one of my favourite artists of all time, and that's Marc Bolan T.Rex. Now, Marc Bolan T.Rex I have to give the credit for getting me back into music in 1980. I was getting a little bit fed up with football, skateboards, riding the bike, and I had an old LP called Ride a White Swan which I played to death, and then that was it. I was hooked. But Marc Bolan died in 1977, and a lot of his discography was actually out of print whenever I started getting into him, so a lot of stuff was hard to get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some vinyl albums, some CDs, some box sets. I've cut this down because I have a hell of a lot more, but I can't show every single compilation because he's my second most collected artist after David Bowie, and I've got far too much of the stuff. So this may actually be split into two videos, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, we'll start off with, I got into him in 1980, and one of the first things I got was this released in 1979 Solid Gold T.Rex, which featured a lot of the singles but not all, from 1972 to 1977, which was brilliant, because his 72 to 77 catalogue had all been deleted, so you could not get the original albums. In 1981, the partner to that album is the Unobtainable T.Rex, which featured a couple of A-sides which weren't on the Solid Gold, plus a lot of B-sides, which was great to have. Now also in 1981, this was released, You Scare Me to Death. Now this basically is just some of the demo songs from this album released in 1974 with instrumental backing on it, which was done by Simon Napier Bell. A lot of people hate this album. I actually like it and prefer it to the very rough demos, which are sometimes hard to hear. They're sore in the ears because he is singing like Larry the Lamb. But this is a good album, and the single that was spawned from this actually reached the charts. Not very high, but it still reached it. Also, a single that reached the charts in 81 was the Return of the Electric Warrior EP, and this has got Sing Me a Song and a couple of extra tracks on it, Endless Sleep and The Lilac Hand of Menthol Dan, which I'd never heard before. So this is actually like a new single for me. Next up, 1981 again, and T.Rex in Concert came out, brand new album, couldn't wait to get it, got it, played it, thought it was rubbish, still think it's rubbish, it's just very poorly recorded. So no, there are much better live albums out there. And then in 1982, Across the Airwaves was released, and this is really BBC Sessions. But the big attraction for this album is Sailors of the Highway, a different song that was never released on any album. It's pretty good. So this came out on Cube Records. From those BBC Sessions were from around the late 60s, very early 70s, the Fly years. Also in 1982 we have Children of the Round Suite, which was a demo that Mark did. And on the B side is a finished version by Tony Visconti where he added instruments and strings. The finished version is very good, the demo version is patchy, but it's great to have this. This was originally released on an album which I didn't have called Mark Words and Music, which was a compilation, and it was a double album. It was quite expensive and I couldn't afford it just for the one song. Then came in 1982 Billy Super Duper, which was like a brand new album, and this features a lot of outtakes that we'd never heard before from his last sessions, plus a few other songs, but they were worked on by Sean and Jan Bramley. By this time the T.Rex recordings, the 72 to 70 recordings, were on the Mark on Wax label, owned by Sean and Shan Bramley, or John and Shan Bramley. But this is not a bad album. It's got some great songs on, like Mellow Love, 20th Century Baby, Depth Charge, Shy Boy, and a fantastic Buick McCain and the Bay of Shadow, which is completely different to Buick McCain from the Slider. Where are we at? Also in 1982 this was released, and this is classic rap, and this is, no, this is not classic rap, this is Deep Summer. and this is a 12-inch and it's an instrumental from around 1970, and it's got the Dip Cochran and the Earwigs song Oh Baby on the B-side, along with an alternate version of One Inch Rock, which was good to get. And then we're sticking with 1982, and I'm showing this because this is an EP of 4 tracks. It's got Truck on Tight, Zip Gun Boogie, Light of Love and Teenage Dream, and the only reason I bought this is because Zip Gun Boogie I did not have on any format. I'd never heard it before. It wasn't on the Solid Gold album, and I saw this and I had to get it. And so that's it's just an EP. There was 4 of these. I only bought one of them. And in 1982 we finally got Christmas Bop, the 1975 outtake, which I've shown in different videos, and this has been included on some Christmas compilations. Okay, 1983, and we get Dance in the Midnight, where we get it's about 10 outtakes, and they're very good, but there's instrumentation on them added, and I like this. A lot of fans hate this because they say they should have been left as they were, but I'll come to that. I think this is great, and it sounds like a real brand new Marc Bolan album, so that was excellent. Now also in 83 all the T.Rex Wax Company albums were re-released, but in different sleeves by Sean and Jan Branley. John and Shan Branley, I can never get that name. But the sleeves were awful, and there's an example here. Now those 3 albums I bought because I never had them on any format. I'd never heard them. I'd managed to scrape up all the other of those albums between 1980 and 1983, but those 3 I couldn't get, but I was delighted to get them so I could hear them. I have since sold them because I just can't stand the covers, because I've obviously got the originals. So next up comes in 1984, and this I found in a record shop in Belfast, and this is Rare Magic, and this includes Pewter Shooter, the single I'd never heard before by Tyrannosaurus Rex. Do You Remember, a B-side I'd never heard, Sailors of the Highway, which was great to get on actual single, and Demon Queen, which I'd never heard, from an EP called Bolan's Best +1, and the big long version of The Wizard, which sounds even better on this than it does on the album. And in 1984 also this came out. Now this is really John's Children, plus a lot of those songs from the Scare Me to Death album, which don't fit, but I only bought this for Beyond the Rising Sun, which was the B-side of his debut single. This album shows how bad John's Children were. They were awful. So it's a double album. It was cheap, but it's rubbish. And then next up in 1983, sorry, I'm going back a year, and this is Think Sync. Now this was remixed and issued as a single for those Marc on Wax albums, and it's not bad, but the B-sides of this are Rivet Up and Teenager in Love, which are great. Never heard them before. And then 1985, another remix, Sunken Rags, pointless but not bad. And then this comes out in 1985, and this is Till Dawn. Now this is the Fan Club triple album. I was a member of the T.Rex fan club, or the Marc Bolan fan club, and this takes in a lot of songs from 72 to 77 remixed. The drum parts were taken off, and they brought Bill Legend, the 71 to 73 drummer, in to do drum fills, and this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. The second disc is the US radio sessions from 72, which is really good, and the third disc is the Electric Warrior interview, which I don't think I've actually ever played. I just don't like interview discs. So Till Dawn, awful, awful album. 85, and we have Mega Rex, which is just a medley of the hits, and this was a minor hit. It's okay. And then we'll go here first, a couple of more remix singles. Get It On remix by Tony Visconti, and it's awful. And the Children of the Revolution remix by Tony Visconti, and it's awful. We're coming near the end of the vinyl years, and in 1989 this was released, the Marc songs, the Marc shows, and it's all his songs from the shows. They're a bit wimpy, but it's good to have because it's good to hear the version of Let's Dance. Incidentally, Let's Dance is the only song I can think of where three of my favourite artists actually perform. He does it, David Bowie does it with Tina Turner, and Slade do it. But there is a good version of Deborah, but this here is marred because there's a lot of children screaming in between the songs. It just doesn't sound great. It's very, very lightweight. And then we have, right, we're going to go on to the CDs. The first of the CDs, and I'm going to fire through these because we're at 10 minutes. Rarities 1 and Rarities 2. Now these two albums, there's 4 of them, I only got 2 of them, have brand new songs, or songs we'd never heard before, mostly home demos. This was the biggie for me in 91, and this is the Born to Boogie soundtrack, which I thought was excellent, but it's since been remixed with that there, and this here is, I think this is from 2005, and it's a double disc, and you get the daytime concert on this, which is excellent. But the big thing about the CDs is that Edsel took over, and they did a sterling job on his 72 to 77 material. This is the first thing to come out, Messing with the Mystic, which is a lot of demos and outtakes which we'd never heard before. We also got a live album from 77. Now this has been reissued since with a different cover, and this is a double album. This is the one to get because the second disc is a 1974 concert. Okay, it's only 5 songs, but you hear Teenage Dream live and Zip Gun Boogie live. And this is becoming a little bit of a rarity. This is Marc Bolan Presents Sister Pat Hall, which is an excellent album, recorded in 73, a lot of soul songs that he wrote quite a bit for. But the big thing about Edsel is they reissued all the 72 to 77 albums in the correct sleeves and added the relevant B-sides and A-sides from that period onto them. But they also did a couple of series, and the first was the alternate series. So you got an alternate slider with different versions. Fleetwood Mac are doing this now as well. An alternate tanks, an alternate zinc alloy, an alternate zip gun, an alternate futuristic dragon. Now that cover's far better than the original one. And an alternate dandy in the underworld. And these aren't bad albums. You know, some of the versions are actually probably better than the originals. Not all, but a couple. Also got another series called Unchained. Now this is where the hardcore fans were jumping with joy. Some of these are okay, some of them are dreadful, and most of these are home demos. Now there are 8 of these, so you get volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, volume 5, volume 6, volume 7, and volume 8, and to rub salt into the wounds, they did a best of as well. So they're good to have, but I very rarely play them. I would pick and choose a few out of them, but if you want to hear those, the best way to get that is this here, Work in Progress. It's a double CD, and the first disc is the home recording, second disc is in the studio. They're all featured, all the songs are featured on those CDs, but this is probably really all you need. And another brilliant album by Edsel is The Final Cuts, which has great versions of those songs that were on the Billy Super Duper album, plus a few more. Now there's a song, Write Me a Song, on here, which is excellent compared to the Sing Me a Song single. That album itself was also released for Record Store Day as a picture disc. Why a picture disc? I don't know why. I just don't understand. I would have rather have had an ordinary album. Okay, we're doing not too bad here. We might get under 20 minutes. Easy Action also released quite a few CDs, and this one is Two Penny Prince with outtakes, etc. The Soul Sessions, which is from around the 75 time, and it includes those 73 songs from the Sister Pat Hall. Calling All Destroyers from around 75. This is not bad. Again, there's nothing new on this. What's this one here? This is Electric Lips and Highway Knees, and this is outtakes from the Tanks album. And probably the best of the lot is Truck Off, which is the rehearsals for the 1973 tour, late 73 tour that he did in North England. This is really good. Okay, just a few box sets to show now, and this is Bolan at the Beeb, and this is all stuff from the Tyrannosaurus Rex to the early 70s. Total T.Rex 71 to 72, and again these are outtakes, radio sessions, etc. And this is a 5 or 6 disc set. I still haven't got through all this one yet. Interstellar Soul, which is a box set of the 72 to 77, and there's a few radio jingles, etc. in here, as well as a couple of rarities. This was originally released as a Wizard of True Star, similarly titled to the Todd Rundgren album, but this is the 15.99 version. Another one was about £60. But the best box set to get is 20th Century Superstar, and this brings in recordings pre-Tyrannosaurus Rex, so you get all the early singles plus the demos, The Road I'm On, Gloria, Blown in the Wind, which I'd never heard before, and it goes up to Celebrate Summer, and it is an excellent box set. This would be good to have on vinyl, although the ones I'm going to come to sort of make it unnecessary on vinyl now. But yeah, this is just a very, very good box set with some new Tyrannosaurus Rex songs that we'd never heard before, like Nickelodeon. Lunacy's Back's on this, which was originally a B-side in '82, so it was good to sweep all those songs up and put them in the one box set. And finally, we're going to go with 4 more albums, 2 Record Store Day ones. Now these were originally CDs as well, and this is Bump and Grind on Easy Action Records, and this came out last year for Record Store Day on, I think it's red vinyl, or is it blue vinyl? It's on blue vinyl, and this is an absolutely brilliant album. Working versions, and they sound really fresh. This Record Store Day and is Shadowhead, and this is on purple vinyl, and these two, as I say, came out in the early 2000s. I have the Bump and Grind CD. I never had this, I only had the MP3 files of it. And lastly, Easy Action Records also released this album here, which takes in those early songs like The Road I'm On, Gloria, put them on vinyl along with Blown in the Wind, a few other songs we'd never heard before like Reality, Soldier Song, and a lot of the demos from the beginning of Dove's album, which I showed earlier, along with You Scare Me to Death. And lastly, this one here, which is electronic music, which has The Wizard, Beyond the Rising Sun, Third Degree, Hippie Gumbo, his first singles as a solo artist, again along with a lot of the John's Children's singles, so it's good to have those on vinyl. So that's a look at some of the posthumous releases albums by Marc Bolan. As I say, I'm still a huge fan, and I still keep on buying. So over the past 40 years I've been buying whatever comes out. I have got countless amounts of compilation CDs. I couldn't show them all. You'll be here till next year anyway, and there's compilation albums as well. So those are the things available for the fans after Marc died. So record companies didn't do too bad. Okay, they went overboard a bit with greatest hits CDs, but I think most record companies do that now anyway. So anyway, just under 20 minutes, and I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.